I woke up to the hiss of machines and the sting of oxygen in my nose. My chest felt like it had been kicked in. My ribs ached with every breath. The nurse said I'd had a heart attack. I'd almost died in my sleep. But that wasn't what broke me. It was the sound of my daughter's voice cutting through the ICU curtain, thick with tears and panic. "Dad, please, don't come home." The monitors beeped faster. I tried to sit up. "What? Why?" She shook her head, backing away, eyes wild with a fear I didn't understand. "Just promise me," she choked out. "Don't go back to the house. Not yet. Not alone." A week later, when they finally discharged me and I turned the key in my own front door, I understood exactly what she'd been trying to protect me from. My name is Martin Hale. I'm 62 years old. The night my heart almost gave out, I thought lying in an intensive care bed would be the scariest thing I'd ever face. I was wrong. What waited for me at home was worse than any hospital monitor. People tell you that a heart attack changes your life. They don't tell you that sometimes it just exposes how broken your life already was. Before the ambulance ride, before the bright hospital lights and the surreal blur of doctors yelling, my world was simple in the way that old lives are. I had my little house in East Portland, my morning routine, my evening TV shows, a pension from 30 years at the Postal Service. And I had my daughter, Lily. Lily was my pride, my only child. Her mother left when she was 7, too restless, she said, for a man who liked routine and a girl who needed stability. So it was just the two of us, homework at the kitchen table, soccer practices and school recitals. I packed lunches, braided hair badly, learned how to scrub glitter from the floor. I wasn't a perfect father, but I was a present one. When she was 16, she promised me something. "Dad, when you're old and grumpy," she laughed, "don't worry, I'll make sure you're not alone." I didn't realize how literal that promise would become. The heart attack hit on a Sunday night. I remember sitting in my recliner, watching a documentary I can't even name now. There was a tightness in my chest, like someone was pushing a fist through my sternum. I wrote it off as indigestion. I'd had pizza for dinner, too much sodium, not enough sense. But the pressure didn't ease. It spread to my arm, my jaw. By the time I reached for my phone, my fingers were numb. I don't remember dialing. I just remember a voice on the other end asking for my address while I tried to breathe through steel lungs. Next thing I knew, paramedics were in my living room, shouting numbers, wrapping a cuff around my arm, lifting me onto a gurney, sirens, flashing red, a ceiling of lights racing past. Then, darkness. When I came back, I was in a white room with glass doors, wires taped to my chest, IV in my arm, ICU. A nurse with tired eyes told me I'd had a non-ST elevation myocardial infarction, which is a fancy way of saying, "You were lucky." "Anyone I can call for you?" she asked. "Yes," I croaked. "My daughter, Lily Hale. Her number's in my phone, wallet, pocket." She found the phone, made the call. About an hour later, Lily appeared at the doorway, framed in the harsh hospital light. She was 29 now, dark hair pulled back in a messy bun, a worn denim jacket over her scrubs. She worked nights at a rehab center. Tough job. Tougher kid. "Dad," she breathed, eyes filling. I'd never seen her look so small. She rushed to my bedside, took my hand like she was afraid it might slip away. "Hey, kiddo," I wheezed. "Don't cry. They say I'm too stubborn to die." She laughed weakly, then her face crumpled again. "I should have been here," she said. "I should have called tonight. I should have—" "You should have been living your life," I interrupted. "That's all you should have been doing." We stayed like that for a while, her hand in mine, machines beeping around us. Eventually the nurse shooed her out. Visiting hours were over, rules were rules. But Lily didn't go home, not yet. I drifted in and out of sleep. At some point, I heard raised voices outside the curtain, Lily's and someone else's. A man, low, hard. I said, "Leave me alone," Lily hissed. "You think you can avoid this forever?" the man replied. "You think he won't find out?" "He just had a heart attack," she snapped. "You show up here again and I'll call security." Their footsteps faded down the corridor. I wanted to call out, to ask who that was, but exhaustion dragged me under. The next morning, the cardiologist visited. He was younger than I expected, with kind, sharp eyes. "You scared us, Mr. Hale," he said, scrolling through something on his tablet. "But you got lucky. Minimal damage. We'll keep you here a few days, start you on medication, make some lifestyle changes." Changes, I repeated. Like what? Less sodium, more walking, fewer cigarettes. I haven't smoked in 10 years, I said. He smiled. Then you're already halfway there. After he left, Lily came back carrying a coffee she wasn't supposed to have in the ICU. She looked tired, worse than tired, haunted. Everything okay? I asked. She hesitated. Yeah, just long shift. Then this. I frowned. Who were you arguing with last night? I asked. I heard voices. A man. Her face shuddered. Just someone from work, she said too quickly. Nothing important. I knew that tone. It was the same one she'd used at 17 when she came home smelling like weed and insisted it was just incense. Lily, I said softly, look at me. She did. Her eyes were wet again. Is someone bothering you? She swallowed. I'm fine, Dad, she said. You just focus on getting better. That's all that matters. She checked her watch. I'll come back tonight, she added. I promise. And she did. Every night. She brought me bad cafeteria coffee, sat in the stiff chair by my bed, told me stories about difficult patients and workplace drama. But there was something she wasn't saying. I could feel it, like a draft from a door not fully closed. On the fourth day, the doctor said the word I'd been waiting for. Discharge. We'll send you home tomorrow, Mr. Hale, he said, but you need to take it easy. No heavy lifting, no stress if you can help it. I nodded. Home sounds good. That evening, when Lily walked in, I gave her the news. They're letting me out, I said. Tomorrow afternoon. Instead of smiling, she went pale. Tomorrow? She repeated. Yes, I said slowly. What's wrong with tomorrow? She sank into the chair, hands twisting in her lap. I watched her closely. Lily, talk to me. She opened her mouth, closed it. Tears gathered at the corners of her eyes. Dad, she whispered, I need to ask you something, and I need you to promise me you'll listen. A knot formed in my stomach. Okay, I said. I'm listening. She looked like she was about to jump off a cliff. When they discharge you tomorrow, she said slowly, don't go home. I stared at her. What? Her voice cracked. Please, don't go back to the house. Not yet. Not alone. My pulse monitor started beeping faster. The machine tattled on my panic. Why? I demanded. What happened? Is something wrong with the house? Did someone break in? Is there a gas leak? What aren't you telling me? She grabbed my hand, gripped desperate. Dad, please, she begged. Just trust me. Stay with me or at a hotel, anywhere but home, for 1 week, just 1 week. Fear crawled up my spine. Lily, you're scaring me. She wiped her face with the heel of her palm. I know. I'm sorry, she whispered. But if you go back now, you might not survive this time. I tried to sit up straighter. Survive what? She stood abruptly. I have to go, she said, voice breaking. They'll throw me out of here if I stay past visiting hours again. Lily! She leaned down, pressed her forehead against mine. I love you, she said. Please, don't come home. Then she turned and hurried out, wiping her eyes as she went. The curtain swayed in her wake. The nurse rushed in to check the monitors, telling me to breathe, to calm down, to think about something pleasant. But all I could think about was my daughter's face and the way her voice had cracked on the word home. That night, I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling, listening to the beeps and hisses and distant night shift laughter. Somewhere between one heartbeat and the next, I made a decision. I would go home, not because I didn't trust Lily, because I needed to know what she was so afraid I'd find there. A week later, they rolled me out the hospital doors with a plastic bag of prescriptions and a stack of instructions. Lily wasn't there to pick me up. She'd texted that something had come up at work, that she'd meet me later. So I took a cab. The driver helped me out, wished me luck, drove away. My house looked the same from the outside. Same peeling paint, same rosebush Margaret had planted years before she left. But as I walked up the path, my keys jangling weakly in my hand, I noticed something that didn't belong. A strange car parked across the street, windows tinted, engine idling, the hairs on the back of my neck rose. I turned the key in my front door. It opened too easily. No resistance. No familiar sticking of the old deadbolt. Someone had oiled the lock. Someone had been here. Inside, my living room looked untouched at first glance. But as I stepped further in, my breath caught. On the coffee table, where I usually kept old magazines and remote controls, sat a neat stack of papers, and on top of the stack, in my daughter's handwriting, was a note. "Dad, if you're reading this, you didn't listen to me." My heart thudded painfully in my chest. I sank into the chair, picked up the papers, and realized my daughter hadn't been trying to keep me away to hide something she'd done. She'd been trying to keep me alive long enough to see what someone else had planned for me, and that someone had used my own house to do it. The papers in my hand felt heavier than they looked, a dozen pages neatly clipped together. My daughter's handwriting on the top sheet, shaky, rushed, afraid. I unfolded the first page. It wasn't a letter, it was a bank statement. My bank statement. Only not mine. At least, not any account I recognized. My name was on it, but the numbers didn't belong to me. Withdrawals, transfers, electronic signatures, all things I hadn't touched. A cold sensation crawled up my spine. Someone had opened a new account in my name. Someone had moved money through it. Someone had used my identity. I flipped to the next page, a credit report, recent, updated. Half a dozen credit lines opened in my name in the last 3 months, maxed out, overdrawn, flagged as suspicious. My stomach turned. The next pages, emails printed out, screenshots of transactions, a blurry photo of a man standing at an ATM using a card. A man I didn't recognize. Dark hoodie, baseball cap, face half turned. Below the photo, Lily had written, "He's using your name, Dad. He knows where you live." My pulse hammered. I looked toward the front window, instinctively checking the street. The same dark car was still there, engine softly humming, someone inside, motionless, watching. The realization hit like a punch. This wasn't random. This wasn't paperwork. This wasn't a clerical mistake. Someone had been preparing to ruin me financially, or worse, to become me. The next page explained what Lily had been hiding, a printed email thread. My daughter's messages to a woman named Rebecca Marsh, a fraud investigator. Lily's message, "My father just had a heart attack. He doesn't know any of this yet. Please tell me what to do." Rebecca's reply, "Identity cases like this escalate fast. Someone may be close. Keep your father away from the house. I'll try to look into the pattern." I set the papers down, rubbing my temples. My chest ached, not the heart attack kind, but the kind of ache that comes from fear you're trying to swallow. Why hadn't Lily told me? Why didn't she trust me enough to say the truth? I reached for the last sheet, a handwritten note, the one she had left on top of the pile. "Dad, I didn't want to scare you while you were recovering. I thought if I bought us a week, Rebecca could figure out who was doing this. But things got worse. They know about me now. Please don't stay here. Leave immediately. Call me. Lily." I read it twice, then a third time. I stood and walked carefully to the window, my heart thudding like a slow drum under my ribs. The car was still there, but now, the passenger window rolled down. A silhouette sat inside, a man, broad shoulders, still as a statue. Watching my house, watching me, my fingers tightened on the curtain. Before I could move, a soft sound came from the kitchen, my back door shifting, a footstep, slow, deliberate. Someone was inside the house. My breath caught. I looked around the room, thinking quickly, calculating like the old postal routing diagrams I used to memorize. Living room, 2 exits, front door, back hallway, heart still healing, legs still weak. I wasn't equipped for a chase. A shadow moved across the hallway floor, heavy boots, quiet steps. I grabbed the papers, stuffed them inside my jacket, and slipped silently behind the living room armchair, the only place with a blind angle. The footsteps grew louder, closer, measured. The air felt thick, hard to breathe. Then a voice drifted from the hall, a calm, almost bored voice. "Mr. Hale?" I froze. "I know you're home," the voice continued. "No need to hide. We just need a conversation." Conversation. Right. The kind of conversation people have before they erase witnesses. A second voice, younger, impatient, joined him. "He was discharged today. He's here. Just tear the place apart." Tear it apart. My chest tightened in a sharp warning. I swallowed hard, trying to keep my breathing quiet. The first man stepped closer. "Mr. Hale," he called, "we don't want trouble. You've already made this more complicated than it needs to be." I made it complicated? The footsteps split, One toward the kitchen, one toward the hallway closet. They were searching, looking for me or the papers. A floorboard creaked under my heel. The younger man stopped. What was that? He started toward the living room. 5 steps, 4, 3. I spotted the old wooden cane leaning on the wall. Heavy brass handle. I grabbed it. 2 steps, 1. He rounded the chair, and I swung. The cane cracked against his knee. He collapsed with a shout. I bolted for the hallway, pain shooting up my ribs. The older intruder thundered back inside. "Stop!" he barked. I dove toward the kitchen, yanked the back door open, and froze. Lily stood there, breathless, terrified. "Dad, run!" she screamed. "They know everything!" Before I could answer, the older intruder yanked me back by the shoulder. Lily shoved the door hard. It slammed into his arm. He cursed and dropped me. Rebecca appeared on the front steps shouting Lily's name. Chaos erupted. "Get them! Get the files!" the intruder roared. Files, the papers in my jacket. We ran toward Lily's car. My legs felt like wet sand. As we reached the driveway, I looked back, and my blood ran cold. The man in the dark car across the street had stepped out. 3 more men stepped out behind him, watching us, waiting. This wasn't identity theft. This wasn't random fraud. Someone wanted Martin Hale erased, and they were willing to finish the job my heart had failed to. Lily shoved me into the passenger seat so fast my ribs nearly cracked. She sprinted around to the driver's side, hands shaking as she fumbled for the keys. "Seatbelt, Dad, now!" she cried, but my eyes were fixed on the men advancing from across the street. 4 of them, dressed in dark jackets, moving with purpose. Not petty thieves, not addicts. Professionals. Lily's breathing hitched as she saw them too. Oh God, they're faster than I thought. She jammed the keys into the ignition and the engine coughed awake. The older intruder burst from the back door of my house, limping, furious. "Hey!" he shouted, pointing at us. "The old man has the files. Don't let them leave." The men across the street broke into a run. "Go!" I yelled. "Go, Lily!" Tires screeched as she slammed her foot on the gas. The car lurched forward. One man nearly reached my door, his fingers grazing the handle, before Lily swerved hard, knocking him off balance. We sped down the street. My chest burned, heart stuttering under the stress. "Dad, breathe," Lily said, glancing at me. "I need you with me." But my attention locked on the mirror. 2 cars pulled out behind us. Dark sedans, no plates. "They're following," I rasped. "I know," she whispered. "I was hoping we'd have more time." I turned to her, voice barely steady. "Lily, who are they?" Her grip tightened on the wheel. "It started 3 months ago," she said, voice trembling but controlled. "I got a call from a patient at the rehab center. He said he recognized a guy using your ID at a pawn shop. He said the guy was bragging about a gold mine he'd found." She swallowed hard. "So I checked your credit, your bank, everything. I saw accounts you didn't open, loans you didn't apply for, debts in your name." "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked. "Because the moment I started looking into it," she whispered, "someone else started looking into me." She changed lanes sharply, taking a side street. "They followed me after work. They came to my apartment. They left a note on my car wiper that said, 'Stop investigating or your father won't make it to his next birthday.'" My blood ran cold. "That's why you didn't want me home," I said. "I thought the hospital was safe," she said. "I thought if I kept you away long enough, I could fix it before you ever knew." Behind us, the sedans turned onto the same street. No hesitation. "They're not losing us," she whispered. I looked down at my jacket. "At the files. They want these." She nodded. "Yes." "What's in them?" I asked. "Evidence," she said. "Evidence that you're the victim of a major identity ring, and that someone connected to them wants your house." "My house?" I repeated. "Dad, your property is sitting on land that used to belong to a dissolved company. A company tied to the man running this ring." "What does that have to do with me?" I demanded. "The house wasn't a mistake," she said. "They needed a clean identity to reclaim the land legally, someone without debt, someone with stable income, someone who wouldn't fight back." She looked directly at me. "They picked you." My mouth went dry. The cars behind us accelerated, closing in. "Lily," I said slowly, "how deep are you in this?" She inhaled shakily. "Deeper than I meant to be. I didn't know they were violent. I didn't know they'd come after you. I thought..." I thought I could fix it alone. A car behind us rammed our bumper lightly. Lily screamed and swerved. "Dad, look in the glove box," she ordered. "What's in there?" "Just do it!" I yanked it open. Inside was a burner phone and a small black device. "What's this?" I asked. "The phone is for Rebecca. The device is a GPS jammer. Turn it on." I flicked the switch. A faint hum filled the car. Behind us, one sedan swerved oddly, as if confused, then another. "It's working," Lily whispered, but the lead car didn't slow. It sped up. "He's manual tracking," she muttered. "He knows what a jammer is. He's not relying on GPS." "He?" I repeated. "You know him?" Her jaw tightened. "I know of him," she said. "He's the one who threatened me. He's the one behind everything." "Name?" I demanded. Her fingers trembled on the wheel. "Victor Calder." I felt like the air left the car. I knew that name. 20 years ago, Calder was investigated for running a construction fraud scheme. He vanished before the indictment hit. He was violent, smart, unpredictable, and he had just stepped back into my life. "He wants my property," I whispered. "And your identity," Lily added. "He needs a clean shell to run money through again. A quiet man with no enemies, a name no one would suspect. My name, Martin Hale, a nobody, a perfect ghost." The sedan behind us surged forward and rammed us again. Lily's car fishtailed wildly. "Dad, hold on," she cried. I gripped the seat as she fought the wheel. Through the rear window, I saw him, Victor Calder himself, leaning forward in the driver's seat, eyes cold, jaw clenched. He mouthed something at me. "You're mine." The road ahead split into a narrow bridge. Lily pressed harder on the gas. "We need to lose them," she said, "before they force us off the road." "Where are we going?" I shouted. "To the only person who can help us," she said. "Who?" "Rebecca," her voice. "Drive to me," she ordered through the burner phone. "I know exactly what Calder wants, and I know how to stop him." Another hit, from behind. The railing rushed toward us. Lily screamed. "Hold on, Dad! We're going!" She jerked the wheel hard, and we shot off the main road, down a narrow gravel path, with Victor's headlights blazing behind us. Gravel ricocheted against the underside of the car as Lily sped down the narrow dirt road, headlights bouncing wildly in the dark. "Rebecca said she's half a mile ahead," Lily said, breathless. "We just have to—" A blinding pair of headlights exploded into view in the rear mirror. Calder. He hadn't slowed. Not once. He was gaining. "Dad, hold on," Lily shouted. I gripped the door as the car fishtailed on loose rock. My ribs flared with pain. My heart hammered so hard I felt it in my teeth. "Faster!" I urged. "I'm trying!" Behind us, Calder rolled down his window. Even in the flickers of oncoming light, I saw it, the barrel of a gun. "He's armed," I choked. "He won't fire," Lily whispered. "He needs your identity intact." The words chilled me deeper than any bullet. Ahead, a set of headlights blinked twice. Rebecca. She'd stopped her car sideways across the road, blocking the path. An intentional barricade. Lily slammed the brakes. We skidded sideways, tires screaming, stopping inches from Rebecca's bumper. "Go! Get out!" Rebecca yelled, waving frantically. Lily and I scrambled out of the car, but Calder didn't brake. He plowed straight toward us. "Move!" Rebecca screamed. We dove behind her vehicle as Calder swerved, missing us by inches, skidding into a ditch with a violent crash. Dust and debris filled the air. Silence followed, a deep, unnerving silence. Rebecca grabbed my arm. "Are either of you hurt?" "Just alive," I said, panting. Lily clung to me, shaking, but Calder wasn't finished. A door slammed. He dragged himself out of the wreck, limping but determined, eyes burning with hatred. "Give me the files, Martin," he roared. "I built this whole thing, and you are the loose end." Rebecca stepped forward, unflinching. "This is over, Calder," she said. "The task force is already tracking your associates. You're done." Calder laughed, a broken, bitter sound. "You think anyone is coming for him?" He pointed at me. "He's a nobody. He's perfect, clean. Do you know how hard that is to find in this world?" He took another step. Rebecca raised a hand. "Victor, stop." He didn't. He lunged, not for Rebecca, for Lily. "No!" I roared. I moved without thinking, without caring about my heart or my ribs or the consequences. I threw myself between them. Calder slammed into me full force. We hit the ground hard. Pain exploded through my chest. My breath knocked out of me. He clawed at my jacket, trying to rip out the files. Then, a deafening crack. A gunshot. Calder froze. Rebecca stood behind him, gun in both hands, shaking but steady. Her bullet had hit the dirt beside his foot. "One more," she warned, voice steel. "Next one won't miss." Calder looked between us, rage, disbelief, and a flicker of something like fear. He dropped his hands. Moments later, sirens wailed in the distance. Red and blue lights flashed through the trees. Officers swarmed. Calder was handcuffed, yanked to his feet, shoved into the back of a cruiser. He kept staring at me. "Could have been easy," he hissed. "You could have walked away." I met his gaze. "I almost died once this month," I said quietly. "I wasn't letting you decide the second time." They drove him off. Lily collapsed into me, sobbing into my chest. "I'm sorry, Dad," she cried. "I tried so hard to protect you." I held her tightly, feeling her shaking, feeling my own heart finally slowing. "You did," I whispered. "You saved me, not by hiding the truth, but by fighting for it." Rebecca stepped beside us. "It's over," she said softly. "He won't touch either of you again." The last of the cruiser lights vanished down the road. The night grew still. Lily wiped her tears and whispered, "Can we go home now?" I looked toward the dark road, the broken car, the shattered quiet of our old life. Then I nodded. "Yes," I said. "But this time, we go together." And for the first time in weeks, I wasn't afraid of going home.